flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kramer.
Present.
Commissioner O'Rourke.
Present.
Commissioner Rexroth.
Present.
Chairman Wessel.
Here.
Commissioner Ross.
Here.
Commissioner Allgaier.
Here.
Commissioner Lautner.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. At this time, we have some minutes to approve. Do I have a motion? Commissioner Allgaier?
I am ready to approve, would move the Board of Commissioners approve minutes for executive session Tuesday, February 14th, Tuesday, February 21st, and Tuesday, March 7th for the Leelanau Dam membership.
Somebody second that?
Support.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Did you approve all of them, or was that just?
That was just some because we just got some.
Which ones did you not want to approve?
Well, I think we had received the special session of Monday, February 28th, 2022. I would make a motion to approve.
Support.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion approved 6-1. Any further minutes to approve?
I don't think so. I think that's still
Well,
missing.
We have that one. We did receive it also. We received the 21st. Do you want more time? We received that by email too, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I would make a motion that we approve work session Tuesday, February 21, 2023.
And executive session, March
I
14th.
would- Yes, I would throw in executive session
Executive
Tuesday,
session.
February 14th, 2023.
Support.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 7-0. This time we have an agenda to approve, and I would like to suggest that we move 9A out of the consent agenda and move it down to an action item. And I would also suggest that we table our beta board discussion until the following month when we have more information and the administrator, county administrator can speak to the Grand Traverse administrator and talk about how we might work with them together. So that would be my suggestion. And then we have a closed session from the attorney with our attorney to discuss a written attorney-client privilege communication from the county civil council dated March 27th. We put that at the end of our action item. Commissioner Lautner?
Yes, I would like to pull consent item number 7, please.
Okay, and we'll move consent item 7 down. Okay,
And then I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
yes.
Under beta board structure and discussion, I was going to ask what our next steps would be. So will we be having a sit down with Grand Traverse County? Do we have to wait a month? I'd like to know the process. I'd like some input on the process. So we don't need lengthy discussion, but I would like to know, are we going to be having a joint meeting with Grand Traverse?
We can leave that on then for discussion
Yes,
where it is on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything else, any other changes on the agenda?
We have to add the road commission.
It's on the,
It'll just be an update way up here. That's all
That's
we
up
need.
there. So
Okay, just an update. It's not important.
okay, could we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
I would support it.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Michelle, did you get all those?
I will follow along and I'll get it, yes.
We moved youth residential treatment and updated water fountain trial down. We left beta board discussion on, and we have a closed session. Thank you. This time we have an opportunity, our first opportunity of the night for public comment. It's reserved for 3 minutes, up to 3 minutes spoken public comment to the board of commissioners. We would ask that you speak to the board as a whole, be respectful, and we will listen respectfully. Thank you. Any public comment tonight? Bill?
Wisner, Elmwood Township. Bring the sign every time because this is the most important thing you guys will decide this year, any year. We need no fraud in the elections. Every place we look around the country, there's election fraud from the machines, black boxes. And the way to get it is one person, one ballot, one vote, one day. And get rid of the early voting and the mail-out voting, which occurred, I believe, with COVID. COVID, by the way, front page, or it was in the New York Times, said the masks are useless. Also, there was another article saying 9 out of the 10 people dying from the virus have had the shots. So, by the way, I'm still offering these free to anyone. Looks at the Grand Canyon, Old Earth, or global flood. Happy to give them out to any of the schools, any of the educators, anybody. It's a $29 DVD, but he allows us to copy them, and that's what I do. This first handout is about ERIC, the Electronic Registration Information Center. The 5-minute one I have at the end is from Election Integrity Protocol, and it really shows why we need to get away from the machines, but that's for the second talk. This one, if you look at the map there, you'll see the 7 white states, they just left ERIC. ERIC was funded originally, the origin of it, by George Soros money, amongst others. And they're supposed to clean up the ballots, but they've done anything but that. It mentions here in Wisconsin, they have 7 million registered voters and 4 million eligible, less than 4 million eligible voters. And the Wisconsin state election leader, Sarah Witt, was hired by who? ERIC, after performing such exemplary work in Wisconsin. The ERIC system is obsolete, inefficient, and has failed in its purpose. So 7 states have left it already. The top of page 2, there's 4 extensive articles from Gateway Pundit on ERIC. If you read through those, if you're concerned about this, we don't want to be a part of this. We want local control where we can, verify that it's what's happening is true. Okay. All right. Well, I'm almost out of time here, but 7 states are on the map, and I encourage you to help us get out of ERIC. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Keith Badoon. I live North Fork. I want to appreciate doing the Pledge of Allegiance. That means a lot to me and to a lot of people, especially our veterans, especially the part one nation under God, which I believe is very important. I'm very constitutional, and I would like to see this continue to be a constitutional state, county, and everything else. That really is important to me, and I stand with this and the wording of it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Yes, Eric.
Eric Lynn, Suttons Bay Township. I want to continue to encourage you all to support the sheriff's quest to get the Great Lakes Safety Boat. It's very important for all the recreational boaters in this area and commercial boating that's in this area. And a lot of water out there. And it's a long way to Manistee and Frankfurt and a long way to Charlevoix. And I think the other side, we're almost over to Wisconsin. Anyway, encourage that. And I want to comment on the beta discussion. I find it odd that beta is allowed to pick their own board members. I think that they're giving up a lot of your control in the beta board by allowing them to pick their own board members. And I'd love to see their documents that allow that. And I don't know who wrote them, but sounds kind of odd. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mikowski?
Good evening again. Just a comment on the meeting I attended this afternoon, which was an excellent presentation with lots of information and for lots of stuff for the commissioners to digest. I think it was over 100 pages. And it's going to take some time, but I think it is an excellent way to see the big picture for all of you. And I have some thoughts about this. As we said before, the mission and goals of this commission is contained on 4 pages of paper, MCL 46.11. And it also stems from the Northwest Ordinance prepared by Thomas Jefferson in the 1780s. The goals for the commissioners of 2023, we also talked about them being categorized in mandated, essential, and non-essential. And then we also talked about the CIP goals, but I noticed that everyone in this county building can address goals for the people, but the people are not part of the process. There's no survey, no nothing. We are led to believe that everything that is being done within the building is almost close to perfection. And I think that we need to include the people more in this process. The other thing is in this building, when you do that, it's usually costs all put together with absent any consideration for cost. It feels like a feel-good thing to do, so we'll just do it, and the costs we'll just worry about it later sometime. And the other thing is that if the people do not lawfully petition for something, which is an extreme rarity here, they most likely don't want it. So if you impose things, including millage taxes, the last 2 were imposed on the people by the county commission. The county commissioners self-initiated 2 millage taxes on the people with misinformation. And if we proceed with the schedule and the Board of Commissioners, the way we think that this may go after this session, we will be growing government immensely. We'll be doing a big job of growing government. One of the disappointments in this presentation was that we would have hoped that one of the key elements would have been in a goal to provide an accurate accounting of what the action taken by the county commission on May 11th, 2021. There has to be an accountability for it. If we do not go that direction, we are telling the people that we are really uninterested for any serious and costly mistakes the commission makes for the people. If an issue objective has no report clearly identifying need, necessity, justification, or benefit, then the commissioner shouldn't even talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Thank you. Any commissioner comments? Thank you. We are now at our point on our agenda where we have our road commission agency update, and Garth and Brendan are here, and thank you for coming and thanks for the job you do. We have a copy of your report in front of us.
Good evening. First of all, thank you for having us here. We appreciate the opportunity to discuss the work that we do with you. And Brendan has a PowerPoint and some more description of some of the specific work we do. But briefly, on the board level, I'm Garth Green and I'm chair of the Board of Road Commissioners, and Brendan is the managing director of the Road Commission. On the board level, this year, we're doing a couple pretty important things. We're starting our strategic planning process where we'll be looking at, of course, the road conditions and facilities, the facilities at our Maple City and Sutton's Bay areas, and also our staff, and making sure that we're properly staffed for the work we need to do. So we'll be starting that in a month, and I'm sure the process will take a while. One thing that we really want to focus on is working with the townships, bringing them on board. A lot of the local roads where the townships have to participate in the cost are in need of work. We do our best on the primary roads, and the County Road Commission covers the cost or seeks funding for the cost of those repair of those roads, but the local roads are something that we're going to focus on and give a lot of attention to. So at the board level, that's the things we're working on, and then I'll turn this over to Brendan and let him describe what the Road Commission does.
Before we do that, could we turn the screen so the audience might see it a little better, just a little bit? We all have copies in front of us. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Thanks, Melinda.
Oh, there we go. All right, thank you. As mentioned, Brendan Mullane. I'm not going to read it line by line since you guys have a copy of it. Just want to go through a couple of quick things. The photo on the front is it was a big win we had last year. We typically would contract out emulsion for our chip seal, and they would deliver it on a daily basis as we need it. And in June, the week before we were going to start, they called and said they couldn't support. And a lot of credit to our fleet facilities manager and superintendent. We had the truck, we were leasing the truck already, and we went and rented some tanker trailers, and we're able to have our own drivers go and pick it up themselves. Actually ended up saving us a little bit of money on the year, but we wouldn't have been able to chip seal for the whole summer, which had been a huge problem. So it was just obviously it's a cool picture, but it's a good story. I mean, something we're proud of. It was a last minute freak out last summer. Just some general information, and there is some repeats from last year. I know we have some new board members, so I didn't take it all off of there. Just a quick overview of who we are, how many. The Winter Heroes was a painting done by Linda Dewey and of a photo by Rick Allen, and she dedicated that to the Road Commission a month or so ago and gave us rights to use it. And obviously, it's a very cool photo as well. So just want to share that.
And it's hanging in your lobby.
Yes, actually, we have in each of our shops, and the originals in our lobby. So come and see it. A couple of winters ago, I took some statistics from some of our trucks, and there's a list of how many roads we have in our infrastructure that we care for. I think is noteworthy is 598 miles of county road, but on February 5th of 2021, I took some data to see how many miles we drive in a day. And to plow those 598 miles, we drove 3,600 miles that day. And it wasn't even a Christmas blizzard. It was a good 12-inch snow, but that was with minimal overtime. That was our night crews and our day guys working roughly 8, a couple of them worked 9 hours that day, which is the same of driving from here to Fairbanks, Alaska. So basically every time it snows and trucks are out, we're driving somewhere between 3,000 and 3,600 miles, 3,000. That was a repeat from last year. Just a list of some of the things we do besides snow removal. Snow removal is on there, of course. Crack sealing, seal coating is a big part of what we do. We're going to be ramping up the shoulder peeling operation, which is the photo in the middle.
bought some new equipment last year. We did a couple of trials with it in the fall, and we're very happy with it. The raised shoulder is one of the bigger problems that we have in maintenance because it keeps the water on the road or it pushes it down the hill and it washes out. So we need to do a lot more shoulder peeling. We're ramping up that for the year. And of course, that means we're probably going to tear up your front yard. It's not on purpose, not because we don't care, but we've got to get that ridge off.
That's okay, just come get it all off the front lawn after you snow plow it onto the front lawn.
Fair enough. Fleet facilities, just some of the things that we keep track of. We actually have an asset management plan for our fleet now. We have 48 Class 8 trucks. We have 24 plow routes. We have spares and backups that we use for other things. So to read line by line, the 2022 revenue was listed there. Of course, the MTF is the Michigan Transportation Fund, which comes from the gas tax, which is the thing in the bottom right-hand corner. But it is interesting or noteworthy that out of the 8.6 million, 5.4 comes from that MTF. And it's widely accepted that is not enough to keep the roads in the shape that they need to be. So we do a lot of effort to try and find other ways of doing that. And of course, the millage that the residents have been voting since 1986 is a big deal. I mean, roughly 1.5 million on top of that makes a big difference. Certainly allows us to plow nights and weekends and ramp up the chip seals, what we typically put that money towards in the summer. Now we manage the MDOT routes. We do plowing and some maintenance work for it. So that's the other line item. And as Garth mentioned, the township cost share is a big deal. That's something that last year we did a big effort to try and get the townships to understand that the local roads, they need to chip in. And a lot of them are starting to talk about it. And we're gonna be pushing a lot more for that this year as well. So hopefully that becomes more.
Usually 50-50.
They have been in the past, although actually, if you look at if you broke down I didn't have it broken down, but the MTF is actually divided out. It's a big, fairly complicated formula, but between local and primary roads. And we've actually been more towards local roads in the last several years. I would say somewhat unbalanced. So we need to actually get that average back up to the primary, closer to where MTF is paying out for, which means that 50-50, it has been in the past traditionally that, but also hasn't been that many projects. There've been a few projects that the board has had to say no to because they were so big that it would take their whole budget. And today they actually just at their meeting today approved a 40-60 split with Cleveland Township.
So which way?
The state law and the policy is that the road commission can do up to 50%. This may contribute up to 50%.
The 40%, Cleveland is 60%.
Yes. Yep.
And that's for Little Traverse Road.
Yes. Yes.
What is the Michigan Forest Roads Fund? And where is it?
We use the Michigan, it's just part of the calculation that we get. We have some state forest in the county. And so they give us a portion. It's not exactly a pilt either, but it's something sort of along those lines. Roads that service. Yes. Yeah. Yes. National park. We don't have any pilt or anything with a national park. The budget breakdown for 2023. As you can see, the primary is actually less than the local roads still, even this year. And as I mentioned, we need to start heading that towards better balance with more to primary. Part of the reasons that primaries are in pretty good shape. There's some roads that need work, but generally speaking, they are in decent shape. The picture on the right is just an overview picture of the chip seal operation. You can see if you've ever driven by it, you see it's actually it's quite an operation. It takes our entire crew. It's all hands on. We've got a tractor doing some mowing down there, preferably in the winter and spring and fall months. And it's very hard to tell from up there, but there's a list of our projects for the year. Of course, we have that available on our website, and now it's in this on your website too. So we're hoping to break 50 miles of chip seal this year, which I believe is a record. We did 48 last year, and it's just one of those things that really goes a long way in extending the life of that pavement. The next page is one I had a video on it, and I think you'll be able to play it, hopefully. Yes. So that is, I'm sorry, now you guys can't see it, but
Yeah.
it's It's the shoulder peeling operation. And that's the new piece of equipment that we bought. It's a force feed loader. And the grader pushes the windrow into the road and it comes along and scoops it up and throws it into the truck. So it's a lot more efficient than a front end loader, which we've used in the past. And like I said, we did some trials with it last year and we were doing, I think we did 2.5 miles before lunch the day that I measured it. So.
Yeah, and one of the big advantages of doing it this way, of course, is efficiency, but the second is safety, because the way we used to do it, we'd have to back the loaders out into the opposing lane, have to have traffic control, which always decreases safety. So now we're able to just work within one lane and do this work. So there's still operations on the road, but it's much safer than it was before.
So, and I hope you see it. I'm sure you'll see us out this summer. Please be careful, give them some space, but we'll be around. And that is it. If you have any questions, my email, of course, the phone is on there for anybody who's watching or finds us online. But of course, the board, do you guys have any questions for us? I'm sure.
Any questions?
Thank you for the good job you do.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I want to say thank you too.
And I have a question. How's the permitting going for the broadband project? Is that on schedule?
Yeah, actually, I just got, I had given them some comments on their cabinet 9 and I just got them today during our board meeting. So those will be issued in a day or so.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, they're doing great.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Yeah.
And feel free to contact me or Brendan anytime there's questions or issues that rise, because
Absolutely.
everybody drives on the roads pretty much, so there's always comments.
And you didn't talk about how much you help out with trees.
I'll leave that to you. I appreciate it.
Okay, we are now at our consent agenda. And the purpose of the consent agenda is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one motion without discussion. Any commissioner may ask that any item on the consent agenda be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such request will automatically be respected and will not need a second. Anybody want to remove anything off the consent agenda other than the one that we've already done? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as amended. Support.
All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. 7-0. We now are at the youth residential treatment short-term detention facility.
Yes, ma'am.
May I speak to that?
You may.
Okay, let me find my minutes. I was just really concerned about the language. So when we went to that motion, the motion said that we, it says that our motion was to accept and support the revised Leelanau Gaming Report update. And I wasn't quite sure about the word support. I have absolutely no problem accepting the report, but every day I get greater and greater concerned about Leelanau's possible liability in such a facility. So I don't want to be a record of supporting the study, but I'm willing to accept the study. And that was the only reason I looked for the study, and I don't know, it wasn't in the packet, so it must have been a separate cover, and I just couldn't find it in time today. So that is the only reason I pulled it off, is, I'd be willing to make the motion and say to accept the revised study and move on, but I don't know what the will of this board is, and that's where I stand.
Does anybody have it? Yes.
I believe the revised was just, they made amendments to the original one that they presented. But all along, the study is to be state funded. The important line is to be state funded. So I don't see any problem.
And I don't either. This was the process.
That's right.
We're just, I had the sense that we were just accepting what they're doing in hopes of getting the money. And if
And,
you
and
don't,
and one of the questions was too, when Gwen and I, what happens once they build it and we can't support it? Well, we just close it down because we didn't have any money. That, I don't think will ever happen. I mean, they're presenting really a pretty good idea, but it's a concept right now. It's not.
And the motion that we approved was that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners encourage the judge and the court administrator to work with the community partners on the issue of youth detention.
And that's the motion that we.
That's the
that was in
motion.
February.
That was not what was stated at last week's executive.
This is not.
That was from the administrator just said that was from February. Correct. And that's a little different than the wording because there was no way for us to tweak what was
Right.
said. This was exactly what was said last week. And I'll certainly type whatever you tell me to.
Could we take just a short break and find what you voted on last?
What they voted on.
Page 6 of the February of March 14th. It's page 6 and it's right below the goal. So So, if we have a motion, I'll throw it out there. I would move to recommend to the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to accept the revised Leelanau County Court update on the status of a youth facility as a residential short-term detention facility report as written.
I don't have any problem with saying that word because we're not committing to anything.
So
I
you said-
understand what you're saying, but I don't think we're committing to anything with that statement.
So are you seconding your motion?
No.
I'll second your motion.
Any discussion? I'd ask our two commissioners working on that, Jim or Gwen, does that take away anything by changing it from accept and approve to just accept?
Just don't see.
I can't see that because, they've done a lot of work. They're in front of us. They're going through state funding. It's absolutely state funded. That's what it's always been and will be. I just can't see us not supporting what they're doing. It doesn't mean we're gonna throw it. The major line of this is it will be state funded. We're looking for state money. I don't want Leelanau County to pay for a $50 million juvenile facility because it's not gonna happen.
And that's not what they're saying, so I just support their efforts. I think that's what support is about. We're supporting their efforts to apply for state money.
Good, but- Yes, thank you. Understood, but that isn't what this says. And I understand exactly. I think it's okay to support where the whole process of fact gathering, I'm okay with that. But I to be in support of the project itself, this just seems to be open-ended, and it may just be the way I'm reading it. But I just don't want to see Leelanau County on the hook for the project. If it is a successful project, there's just too many things we haven't worked out, percentages and the number of counties. I've heard off the record that Antrim County is on board. We haven't seen that. We haven't had a sit down. We haven't really worked a lot of these things out. Fact gathering, I'm okay with that. I know they're trying to get the funds. I would hope that those would have to come back to us to accept those at that point, because that's when those details would have to be ironed out. So that was all. It's wording, but I just didn't want to see it come back and get us.
The way I read it, an update on the status. That's all it is. So we're supporting their update on the status.
He revised his numbers on the last page. That's what that was about. He had the first page and then he brought it and then we do it. Again, the headline is there anybody here that doesn't support their concept?
We don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Point to call for question, Chairman, we have a.
Question's been called. All in support of calling the question, say aye.
Aye.
Any all in support of the motion? Will you read the motion?
The support of calling the question was by Rex Root. And did there have to be a second on that? Was Al Guyer? And was that a 7-0 to call the question? Okay,
So wait a minute, what are we?
we just voted on calling the question.
Oh,
And now the motion was by Lautner that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners move to accept the revised Leelanau Family Court update on the status of a youth facility, a residential / short-term detention facility report as written.
All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say aye.
Aye.
I better have a roll call on that. please. That's our first witness issue.
That would be Commissioner Lautner,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Rourke,
No,
Commissioner Rexroth,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
No.
Commissioner Wessel,
No.
Commissioner Alguier,
no,
Commissioner Kramer.
No.
5-2, yes, 5 no.
The motion,
thank you.
does anyone want to make a motion?
You want?
We would, if somebody wants to make a motion, it's on our agenda. A motion? I would move to, move the motion that you approved unanimously last Tuesday to support and accept and support the update from on the youth detention center.
oh, I would second that. If we need another motion, yes.
Be the same.
That would be
Well, that was
motion
okay.
by Chairman Wessel that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners accept and support the revised Leelanau Family Court update on the status of a youth facility / a residential / short-term detention facility report as written.
Correct.
Correct, and that was seconded.
By
Any,
all.
any additional discussion?
Didn't we just already do that and we didn't undo it because
There wasn't, that motion wasn't on the table, the motion was on.
Yeah, that was to accept. They're throwing back. She had a cheater.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I took out support.
Alright.
If I may,
Yes,
unless the motion maker would like to speak to it first.
I do not.
Okay. Increasingly, as I say, by the day, I'm getting quite concerned that we're taking such a lead on a project of this size and this scope. When, as I pointed out in the earlier session today, we've got decreasing numbers, steadily decreasing numbers in our youth in this county. And I really don't see that changing a whole lot for a whole number of reasons. So we have declining youth. We have such a great program in our family court, the diversion program. It's highly successful. For us to get involved in a project this big concerns me greatly. As I said, every day I get more and more nervous. Every day I begin to hear from more and more people outside of this county that said, what are you guys doing? Because it looks like we're gung ho for this project. That's the way it looks. That's why I was looking to just take a step back, and until we iron out all those details, not be in support on record in quote unquote support of the project, only be accepting the reports and be responsible in the sense that we need to know what we would be on the hook for. We can guess at numbers, but we have absolutely no way of actually knowing. My concerns.
The motion maker now will speak to the motion that he made. This does not commit us to any dollars. It commits us to supporting the court's effort to get a youth detention center. If there were any associated expenses to the county, it would have to come back to this board and we would have to approve it at that time. That is why I'm supporting the motion. Any other discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion approved 5-2. Thank you. We now are at our, I was listening in at the meeting last week from places where it's a lot warmer than this.
Just rub it right in.
And I wasn't able to take public comment from Florida. But I noticed that the water fountain that was approved by this group at the executive committee had no option for a fountain, as it was just filling up the bottles. And in front of you, there's an alternative fountain that allows you to fill your bottles, but also drink as a regular fountain. Would not necessitate a water softener, but it could have a filter. And I would just like us to reconsider the kind of fountain we have out there so that everybody does not have to use a water softener. Visitor in the building wants to come in and just have it drink. Yes.
I totally support that. Somewhere we heard last week that the retrofit wasn't available. This is really what we need because it serves everybody. And we don't have to, there's no charge every year. We just install them and they're good for 20 years.
This,
We don't have to be changing filters, all that stuff.
this
It's just a
provides
pump.
filtered water without a filter.
We don't need, we have
It's
a
magic.
it is filtered.
It's not the water softener, it's not colored. It would just be a carbon filter if we wanted to put a carbon filter.
Just like that, but also fills water bottles.
And we do not need to make a decision tonight on which kind what I would like to see us do is have a motion to not go into the trial that was tentatively approved so that we can investigate a water softener that would serve the same purposes, probably be cheaper and be not necessitate everybody having a plastic bottle.
Perfect.
Well,
On the
this would,
table?
this would eliminate the need for the cup dispenser that had been
Yep.
discussed. So, yeah, I'm all for taking a look at some of those plastic cups. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
I would make that
Definitely.
motion.
So a motion to not approve the trial.
Yes.
Is that a negative motion?
It was kind of negative.
Do you
I
want to
make a-
table this?
And make a motion that, that the previous, that we postpone the previous motion, or previous agreement to trial until further
Yeah,
information.
if we don't
So,
do anything,
was that
or we can maybe just don't do
Just
anything.
table it.
just table
It's
it?
also a, yeah, or
Okay.
table it if we just don't move this.
Stops right there.
Right, right, because this is a decision, that was a recommendation, so yeah, I make a motion to table the water fountain trial. Support.
It's been moved. Is there a second for that? There was. Any discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I apologize for second guessing you from last week. But
That was
I
my
like
bad.
what this looks like, and I think it's much more environmentally friendly.
On vacation, he's paying
And then we
attention.
have-
So, we got Beta.
Yes, next on the agenda is the discussion about beta and where we want to go from here. And Belinda, you had asked for this to be moved down. You
Well,
want to kick it off?
sure, I absolutely would. I've got a lot of questions and, you know, I've been very busy on the phone with a lot of phone calls, even coming from other counties who kind of recognize what a bad deal this could be for Leelanau County if we don't have input on the changes. So I got a lot of questions I would like to ask our attorney. I know I don't have the authority to call our attorney. I would like to have that authority to call our attorney. Or see if we could have our attorney come and speak to us as a board would be okay too. I do know our attorney is also Grand Traverse County's attorney, and I hear through the vine that they are talking to him and asking questions. I don't know what those questions are. So I guess, in the very beginning, I would like to see the documents, the articles of incorporation, 'cause I can guarantee I did not keep those. So, how do they have the authority how does a board that's an authority have the authority to change their articles of incorporation, to change their board structure? And Leelanau County not have any, as a board of commissioners, not have any say. That is my main concern. So I want to know what our process is. Are we going to have a joint meeting? Are we going to be in on some joint meetings with Grand Traverse County? Or should we just take the lead on our own and ask for a restructuring? Perhaps even, I don't know, could we get out of beta and contract? And would that serve Leelanau County better? Could we, should they privatize? There's just a number of questions that I think that we need answered, since as it stands, we don't even have a choice whether that millage goes on our ballot out here. And I've always been concerned with taxes. I'm very concerned about the taxes that we're paying right now for Beta, with, I guess, only one route. And I haven't watched this route myself, but I've also heard that they said it's been a continuous route. We have the one in Leelanau, and I have heard it does not run regularly, but I haven't sat up there and watched the route run, so I don't know that personally. So anyway, those are just a few of my concerns I've got about this.
I know we've got 3 commissioners that want to speak, but I also know that our administrator has been in touch with Beta and the administrator of Grand Traverse, so I'd ask her to give us an update. Jamie Campbell.
So to that point, have talked with both the attorney and with the director of the Beta program. My understanding is that all future discussions have been put on hold for 60 to 90 days. The executive director will be out of the office, so they figured it would be best if we just pause things. And so when she returns, my understanding is that there will be a meeting that will be scheduled with the authority members, so that have appointments made, and then there will be an opportunity for discussion. That is my understanding at this time. There's no date that has been set or no agenda discussion items.
I just wanted to also say, to address some of Commissioner Lautner's concerns, and say that this would best be remedied by a conversation with all of us that is scheduled and planned, because I know that there's a lot of different questions, there's misinformation, and before we take any action as a board, we really need to clarify all of the facts and find out actually what's happening, what's going on, and I think that could serve us all moving forward. So,
I'd like to support Jamie and her serving on that committee, and we have another representative from Leelanau County. So I think we should respect the process and the committee structure, and relate any of these concerns from the board, or individuals on the board, to the committee members, and have them represent as well. Okay.
And I wish I could remember the letter from Kelly Dunham, but basically they are stated, do not officially report to county boards.
yeah, that's my understanding. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do believe that she will, she's absolutely paying attention. I know that. I was on the board last year. And we have and need to relay our concerns about making sure our representation is maintained on that board. With the addition, with any changes that they make. And yes, they do that, their route regularly. People go to work, go to school,
Jamie's daughter goes to school every day. And they also have Link on Demand. So the southern route that they did that went around Glen Arbor Empire just wasn't as a regular route, that they eliminated that with COVID because they were lacking drivers. But they have Link on Demand. So if you cannot drive for some reason, you can call Beta and get a ride, and they will, from anywhere in Leelanau County, and they will come get you. So that's what they're doing at this point, in addition to the regular route.
So I guess kind of echoing Commissioner Lautner's remarks, and this is not to support Beta. I mean, I believe it provides needed service, but I think the concern comes from is Leelanau County getting its bang for the buck, so to speak. Does our funding match our service level out here? And I've heard concerns from people along that line, so I don't know how that plays into the existing discussion. There seems to be several different issues involved here, but I'm just curious, and maybe Deb can answer. I mean, what is our entanglement with them? What is our, is this, do we have a lifetime lease? What do we renew this yearly? What is our situation of our relationship?
There was a contractual agreement that an authority was established, I believe in 1996.
99, I think,
Michelle,
99, I believe.
99? Okay. Okay, so between 96 and 99, there was an authority that was formed, and we were listed as one of the initial members of that authority. And then there was a restructuring that did happen, I think, in 2006, 2010, somewhere around there. Similar structure, though, we still were listed as one of the original members of the authority. And so it does, I have those documents on my desk. I've not done a deep dive on them as of this point.
Okay.
But if anybody would like to see those documents, I would be happy to make them available.
I did talk to Kelly last week, right before the meeting. She called me, and my understanding is that Beta has agreed, and Grand Traverse County has agreed that there'd be a hold on everything and nothing would happen till we had the opportunity to sit down with their board of commissioners and the Beta people and us and have the discussion about representation and budget and needs and the authority. And I like that idea, and I'd like to make sure that our administrator make sure that the Grand Traverse administrator knows that's where we are and we want to be at the table. But I don't believe that there's any other need unless you do to get any decision. But Melinda and then Gwen.
Thank you. That's what I was hoping to hear, because I didn't gather that, and that was my first question, is this meeting. I didn't hear that we will be invited to that as a full board of commissioners.
We didn't talk about it as full board, but we can say that's what we'd like to do. I mean, it's either
Okay.
a subcommittee or a full board. I would like a full board.
When the authority was formed, I do believe, well, I know it was, well, it was either a 3-2 or a 4-1 vote to even go into this authority, because we were outnumbered in the very beginning. But this board unfortunately did do it. So that's when we lost all right to put millages on the ballot ourselves and select those. I think that I read more in the paper than I've learned, like there's a compensation package for the board members. And what is that made up of? What is the compensation package?
They recently put in a compensation package, I think, for, not for myself, because I'm serving for Leelanau County. I think it's for well, we already have an at-large member who's been there for a number of years. So my assumption is that that is what it's for, is to serve the board members who are not being.
What is the compensation package though? Same as.
It's $40.
$40.
Same as-
Okay,
it's
that's my
$40.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. In the other concern I had, and I think it's a legal question, because as I understand it, we can't accept things, I can't accept things that my constituents can't get. So, you know, if you sit on the airport board, you don't get free flights. So I had a concern that in reading it, that.
Well,
Yeah,
oh, the enterprise, I haven't accepted,
Is
we
that
have paid for our daughter to ride Beta for the umpteen years that we've been. It is a perk that I've just learned about, but I have always paid for Beta, and I guess I think this is something that they've had for quite some time.
well,
But that could be incorrect. This is my
Yeah.
first board meeting.
I just had a concern. I don't know. I don't think Beta should be giving rides to anyone, and I'm not just speaking about you personally, but certainly not. I don't think we should be giving them to board members. I don't think we should be giving them to their family. I don't think we should be giving them to their children. So that's just a concern that I had. But as far as the application goes, and that was my concern got greater because the application was looking for a city of Traverse City resident or urban area representative. Should be someone deeply engaged with city planning, urban needs for public transit. Since Traverse City houses the heart of the Beta system, this position would bring to the board valuable information to assist Beta's short and long-term decision-making. Multi-modal transportation representative should be an avid user of it, and onward it went. My concern is Leelanau County is not urban, so automatically these two seats would not be, certainly wouldn't be Leelanau County residents unless they're from probably the city of Traverse City down there on the corner. So, you know, my constituents need not apply, and yet there's 2 more seats that we're going to be outvoted, and that's my concern. We would go from a guaranteed 2 seats out of 7 to only a guaranteed 2 seats out of 9. So definitely we need discussion.
Would this board be willing to entertain a motion to request that they put a hold on any further decisions until we have a joint meeting with the Beta board and the Grand Traverse County Commission?
I would. Can I address a couple of Commissioner Warner's concerns that I do know?
You can.
Okay, thank you. I believe that this is an opportunity for all of us because of this dust up to come together and really address Commissioner Waters' concerns. I know a lot of our concerns about board makeup and how Leelanau is being represented on Beta. I also have lost all of my other concentration or focus. I think it's really important that we all not make knee-jerk reactions when we don't have all the facts. So let's find those out and examine them and see and come together, because this, like I said, is an opportunity. And again, Commissioner Lautner, those different demographic makeups, I think, are really important to the board, because as of right now, I am the only board member who represents a Beta rider, and that's my daughter. I don't personally ride it, my daughter does. So I believe Kelly's intentions are altruistic, and this is an opportunity for us to really step forward and better represent Leelanau County.
I would make a motion that they hold off on any decision, that the board hold off any decision until a joint meeting between the county commission, full county commission, Leelanau County, the full county commission, Grand Traverse County, and the Beta board in a joint meeting to answer some of these questions.
Support.
Any further discussion?
I'm wondering if we should request that they not make a decision, because I believe we have the authority to order them.
I would like to move that, but I can't, Brian.
You
I
can
move
amend-
that we
you wanna move-
request. I would modify my motion, move that we request they take no further action until such a meeting takes place.
Maybe with a second?
Same support, but I have, just listening, apparently Beta has been calling their attorney, which is our attorney, is that right?
Grand Traverse.
I can't, I don't think that's right.
No, Grand Traverse County and our attorney is the same.
That's what I'm saying,
Oh.
that's
Well.
not, it can't be done.
We sign an agreement that states that we understand and acknowledge that they are the shared attorney, but they would not use the same firm, but not the same attorney.
Gotcha. Okay, so we need to hear from our attorney. Okay. Very good. Maybe we can get Bonnie. Can we get Bonnie?
I would just like to say something.
I agree.
We need Bonnie then.
That's a conflict, or you can't do that.
Either way.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a comment before I was on the Beta board only for 6 or 7 months. But I do want to say that the board was totally apolitical. What the Beta board was about was providing good service to people. What did we believe? How do we do it? And how do we do it the best we can? And it was never Grand Traverse versus Leelanau. I mean, it just wasn't at all. Now, am I concerned about some of the steps that Grand Traverse County Board made? Yeah, I am. So those have to be discussed. But what it was just a board about good service to people. And that's where their idea of having a couple more people that represented different demographics was about. I wouldn't have been concerned at all with that until the GT board took the steps. So, yeah, we need a meeting.
Commissioner Leonard?
Well, interesting, because I sat on that board also, and I know I was the only one concerned about the taxpayers of Leelanau County when I sat on that board. So that's sitting on that board, the taxpayers of Leelanau County are paying a great deal for that board, and they need that kind of representation when it comes to there. If we funded it any other way, I would agree. I think Grand Traverse County did a very wise thing in the very end, because this application that I was reading from, you had until March 15th to apply. And Beta was going to have their meeting March 14th to appoint. I'm glad they got the hold. I'm glad they got the hold on that meeting, because there needs to be some discussion. That's one of the things I will agree with tonight.
We have a motion. Is there any further discussion? All those in support, would you read the motion, Shel?
I don't think, but I can tell you without looking into it. It's a motion by Rexroth to request to table any action until there's a full meeting between Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners, Leelanau County Board of Commissioners, and the Beta Board.
That's correct.
That's correct.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion approved 6-1.
And who was the one interested?
Who was the one?
Yeah, Commissioner Ross.
Okay. We now need a motion to go into closed session to speak to an attorney on privileged communication. So, and that motion should also include that the who do you want there, the clerk? And
So she'll get it to me. Who seconded that?
I did.
hey, all those for the, oh, that's right. Thank you.
This is for attorney-client privilege. So Commissioner Rexroth,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Chairman Wessel,
Yes.
Commissioner Alguier,
Yes.
Commissioner Kramer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lautner,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Rourke,
Yes.
7-0.
To the audience, we expect this to be a relatively short closed session, and we will probably be back quickly.
No, I'm spiteful.
That's a first,
Well, you're the one resigning from the airport board, now.
right?
Don't
Just like
bring
the-
lights.
You didn't know that, did you?
I was already scheduled my vacation.
We're not gonna wrap it.
Yeah.
So I need to say, I have her written down for that register.
Global floods, there's, thousands of years during the global floods. Basically, the flood there. There's a term, Did you read that? No. This is. I don't know, you got one of these at that meeting? Was there, I was looking at an older, this is Grand Canyon, older says from top to bottom, to 580 million years through that section. Global flood says thousands of years.
Okay, you
What
better
what was your motion, Kathy?
get. Make a motion.
Make a motion, we go back in session.
Support.
All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are out of closed session.
I would make a motion that we authorize the county administrator, Alan, to engage Freeman for the contract as presented.
Any discussion? All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, 7-0. Thank you. We now have review of financials. Kathy?
I don't remember which report.
This is the update.
Yes, I did supply you with a very small late addition to claims and accounts. So you do have a new total. I do have an answer to Commissioner Lautner's question about the sign reimbursement. It is a small sign that puts the building or the address number on the tower. So 8527.
Oh, is that sure for emergency services?
So they know that it belongs to that
Okay.
building. 8525, I think that one is.
I had no other concern. I did catch right away the food, the $800. I was like, what? No, it wasn't. So, yeah. So,
Any other questions for Kathy? Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
This time we're down to committee reports, recommendations, and resolutions.
I'm on the airport finance committee with Mr. Wilbonic, and the other day we went over the insurance of the airport. Wow, there's some big numbers on the airport, and it's quite a learning curve, but I'm really glad to be on it with Mr. Bonic and Mr. Jankoff. So, thank you.
We heard from Mr. Klein that he's glad you're on it.
Oh, you did, you? Thank you.
When?
We got an EPA assessment grant, which are very competitive, difficult to get. We've applied like 4 times. It runs through 2025, I believe. And it is to inform people to so that if someone has a fear that their land, that they want to sell and their land has previous pollution of some sort, those monies will help fund the discovery on that process. And people often don't know about it. Yes.
Who are you reporting on?
Who's we?
What agency?
Brownfield.
Thank you.
Thank you. And people often don't know about it. For instance, the old mill in Glen Arbor used some of those funds. Some of those funds were used for Sugarloaf, not this grant. We have a new grant. But if you know of property or you know somebody who wants to develop something or has questions, call Trudy Gallup, because we have funds for that, but people need to know about it.
You also
Yes.
have a couple of events coming up, isn't it?
I'm sorry, what?
Aren't there
Yes,
2 events coming up?
yes, April
Yeah.
16th and 17th. I think the 17th is at 1 and the 16th is at 6:30. And also Habitat is going to, I keep want to say, bless the house.
Yeah, it's
That's part of
5:30
it.
tomorrow night.
5:30 tomorrow night for Maple Crossings.
Yes.
So that's pretty darn exciting. That's fun.
So I attended my first meeting when that works Northwest today. I couldn't stay for the full board meeting because I had a couple, 3 meetings back here in Leelanau County. But it was informative. There's, I think one of the great benefits is the chance to interface with 9 other county commissioners that represent the counties on that. So I look forward to continuing that.
Northern Lakes Community Mental Health Group with Chet's been serving on it, Deb is now serving on it. They had a meeting this week, but it was canceled, and it's going to be 2 weeks from now, and they're nearing closure to finalizing a new enabling agreement that then would come to each of our boards for approval. So anything else on that?
No, this was to be my first meeting and it was canceled, so no new news.
Like our substance abuse.
Linda?
Commissioner Rex, just reminded me, if you would ask Matt to remind him, he was going to get us the list. A lot of council of governments or networks, Northwest employees have cars. They drive company cars, use company fuel, and they have to report their own personal miles. Because that's against the law otherwise. And we asked for a reporting of what they reported for personal miles, and we haven't had that yet. So I think it's reminding me of that.
Anything else under this agenda item?
One more thing, there have been 30 septic inspections.
Any special report by staff or commissioners or affiliated agencies? Now we're at our second public comment section. The public comment at the end of the meeting is limited to 5 minutes. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make public comment? Kowski?
Yes.
To complete my presentation earlier, we find it an oddity that the work sessions are, I guess, quasi county commission sessions, and they're held at convenient times for commissioners, but inconvenient times for the public. And I see this trend over the years where all meetings were generally held at 7 o'clock in the evening. We're drifting over and making everything convenient for the commissioners or the board members of these committees, including the planning department, which is inconvenient for most working people to attend. So the people, I think, are left out of the process, and I encourage the board to call these meetings regular commission meetings or committee as a whole, rather than calling them something else as work sessions. But again, I think the information passed on the meeting today was very important and very critical for everyone here to understand the scope and magnitude of what potentially exists. You know, they have to make some very careful selections and priorities and with my suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill?
Bill Wiesner, Elmwood Township. And again, the sign, I hope to be out 2 hours before every meeting, as long as I'm asked. And no fraud, whether or not you know of it or not, it could be happening in a black box. One person, one ballot, one vote, one day. And this handout explains exactly why that's so important. This is just one of different various people. I'm not even sure who the person is, but I found this election integrity protocol. It's the site EI for election integrity, eiprotocol.org, if you want to go to it. And he says, why do we need, why do we need the election integrity protocol? Human observation has been removed. I'm going to just read excerpts from it. Human observation has been removed from the vote counting process. Observation falls into two categories, verification and participation. If a voter can't verify their ballot selections throughout the election, we aren't really conducting elections. It's not really an election then. And finally, the election integrity protocol offers a capability not found in other election protocols, and that is the ability of the voter to actually see their own ballot after they vote and to monitor the election in real time. This presents unprecedented level of transparency, which is a true hallmark of any valid election. Next question, there's no evidence of election fraud. Where is yours? answered. This question is backwards. In an election, the onus is not on the electorate. The people here, the 23,000 people in Leelanau County, it's on the people putting on the election. And they need to guarantee, let's see, the provider to guarantee that the fraud cannot occur merely as a prerequisite to even conducting an election. Nobody here is making claims of election fraud. I say no fraud. I see it all over the country. I haven't seen it specifically here, but I suspect it's happening everywhere. And I've heard that it is from different ways to test it. And then it says there are more ways, but here are 8 reasons why the people have for election service, have questions for an election service provider. Number 1, how is a voter ensured that their vote is counted at all, let alone counted correctly? 2, is a voter able to match the contents of their ballot with the scanned result? 3, how can a voter be ensured that ballots are not counted multiple times, like in Georgia, we all saw that? 4, how can a voter be assured that undervotes are not replaced with fraudulent votes? If they just vote for one person, they could fill in the other ones. Number 5, how can a voter be assured that fraudulent or unauthorized ballots cannot be counted? And number 7, how can a voter be assured that dead people aren't voting, as in Georgia again? And 8, how are there plans to allow multiple parties to count the votes so that the consensus among opposing parties can be reached rather than having to trust a single vendor? That's what we need. That's what we can be assured of. This is happening in Colorado, and none of these 8 are being followed in Colorado. The question on the bottom there, now let's see. Just to make a comment on that one, you refer to mail-in voting as operating elections in a degraded mode. It violates the zero trust requirement. We shouldn't have to trust anything in elections. It should be verifiable. Multiple eyes watching this. Okay, I'm going to skip to page 4. You spoke of a zero trust requirement. What is that? We use consensus instead of trust. We don't trust, we shouldn't have to trust anything. They don't know what's in the black box. We should be able to verify everything, multiple eyes looking at everything. And then on page 5, I don't know where my time is, just cut me off when it is. What drove you to create this protocol? He's a professional computer programmer. I've here a minor in political science. He says this is what happens in elections. They can take advantage of it.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you for your consideration.
Any other public comment? Thanks to the public for attending tonight. Any commissioner comment? Yes, Commissioner Roth.
Yes, I'd like to follow up with Lois Bailey and her sharing during public comment at our 4:30 meeting. She called us to lead by example, and I was also contacted by Phyllis Gregori up in Northport. She's part of the Dark Sky, Leelanau Dark Sky. We have an opportunity to show our leadership by turning off our lights on Saturday, this Saturday, the 25th of March, from 8:30 to 9:30, in support of our planet, consuming a little bit less energy and just appreciating the dark skies. I know it's a big thing for us to have a dark sky designated place in Leelanau County. I'm very proud to live in a county that says that's important, and I would encourage us to follow Lois's call and lead by example and share that with your constituents as an opportunity to lead by example.
Thank you.
I would like to congratulate the Glen Lake Lady Lakers for
Beat me
representing
to it.
Leelanau County, winning the state championship in Division 4 and Division 3, and also St. Mary's boys fell short at the regional finals, but made a valiant battle. So thanks for both of those teams for representing us in this competition.
Linda.
That beat me to it, but we're very proud of both teams. Very exciting. I just wanted to let you know, don't forget and rest assured that the power that lights our lights here is 65% carbon-free power already presently. So we're very proud of that.
Any other commissioner comments? Yes, Jim.
Commissioner Lawton brought up that we are not allowed to contact our attorney. I would think that if I have a question, I would try the county administrator, I would try the chair or the assistant. But at any time I felt it necessary, I will contact or our attorney. I'm an elected official, my own district. You know, as a point of order, is the rules that prevent me from calling the attorney.
Established precedent anyway is that every commissioner has the right to request a legal opinion, but they go through the administrator and contact the attorney through the administrator. And I think that's, my understanding is that's not only the request of the administrator, but the request of the attorney's office, because they get conflicting questions. And it has to be a question from the organization, because the attorney represents the county, not us as individuals.
I disagree completely, but I would still go ahead if I had something that I didn't agree with you two. Walk down and see Joe Hubble, which has been my attorney for 20+ years. But I just want to make sure that I stand alone representing my people in my districts if I have something that is completely that I feel is right. It's not going to be every day, it might not ever happen, but my point.
My assumption is that if you want a legal opinion, you go there, and if you don't get the legal opinion that you want, you go to the chair. And one of those two people will give you the answer that you need.
I think that's what I first brought up.
Okay. Yeah. Any other commissioner comments? I have one. Thank you to Doug for last week, and thank you very much. But it's a bigger comment than that. Thank you for all of you. I think things are going well, and I appreciate the hard work and the diligence and the disagreement and the agreement and the discussion and the dialogue. And I would invite you to scold me when I need scolding. You can give me suggestions if you want to, or advice. And another month or two, I'd like to have a session where we sit down and process how things are going and look at our rules of order and see if we want to make any adjustments. That's my comment. At this time, we have approval of financials. Melinda Lautner.
I move approval of amendment number 23-001.
Support. All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0.
Move to approve fund transfer 23-002.
Support. All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion
approved 7-0.
I move to approve claims and accounts $233,121.67.
Support.
All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 7-0.
Move to approve post audit $2,284,187.18.
Support.
Support. All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 7-0. Thank you, Melinda, for always carrying the ball on that task. Do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Support.
Meeting adjourned.